Yeah, guys, before we bring in Mary Kay, I just want to remind you one more time that you can score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options. You can do spreads, player props, over-unders, and plenty more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and kick off the NFL season right. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL.
Why did we not show the Earl and Anthony emojis?
I completely forgot to put them on a graphic this morning. That is a bad job out of me, guys. I'm so sorry about that.
I'm about to get in the chat.
But I just checked the chat and I did see them. They look good. Y'all look good as emojis.
That's just the Bears is beyond stupid. Trading the 35th. Right now would be the 35th pick in the draft for a guy who's a free agent at the end of the year. They are the dumbest organization. All right, we have Mary Kay. Is she dressed up for Halloween? Mary Kay not dressed up.
I didn't get the memo. I absolutely would have dressed up.
What's up, Mary Kay?
That's Mike's fault.
If I would have known that you guys were dressing up, I didn't have time. Once I saw that you guys were dressed up, I was going to go see if I could run around and find something around the house here, but I didn't have time.
Well, it's not Mary Kay's fault. Mike, it's your fault for not telling Mary Kay that we were dressing up.
Mary Kay, I am truly sorry, but we do appreciate you taking a few minutes to join us here.
I mean, my gosh, that's terrible. Mary Kay, we were just talking about the Josh Dobbs thing. You wrote a column about it today. We were all saying we can't buy that the Cardinals would trade him. I don't think Josh Dobbs really is that much better. I'd rather have a better quarterback than P.J. Walker. But you think the Cardinals might actually trade him the week they're playing the Browns because they don't care?
Well, yeah, I mean, why would they care? They're 1-7. They're not going anywhere this year. And if they can recoup a draft pick, they don't need him anymore. They've got Clayton Tune. They've got Kyler Murray coming back, so they don't need Josh Dobbs anymore. I mean, I still think I qualified this in my column that, ideally in a perfect world, they'd probably still like to land Jacoby Brissett. But if they can't land Jacoby Brissett, and who knows, the stakes may have gone up higher for Jacoby Brissett because now there are some other teams in the NFL that might want him. I mean, he's a decent starting quarterback. He didn't have a good record last year, but that was because the defense and the special teams let him down in a huge way. So I do think that other teams might be interested, but the Browns should be trying to get Jacoby, and they probably are doing that. And I don't know for sure. I'm just surmising. It just makes too much sense for them to do that. If they can't do it, then why not Dobbsy? I think he would be an upgrade over P.J. Walker and Dorian Thompson right now. Maybe not necessarily a long-term answer, but he would come cheap. You could get him for a bargain basement price. And, and again, Arizona doesn't need him anymore. They wouldn't care if he goes out and starts.
Mary Kay, if it's not...
What happened?
I think Tyvus coughed and then it dropped. Yeah, but it's okay.
What happened?
That wasn't me.
It was your turn to go,
Well, Tyvus coughed, so I wasn't sure if he was about to follow up.
No.
Mary Kay, if it's not a quarterback, if the Browns do not end up acquiring Jacoby Brissett or Josh Dobbs, do you think they'll make some sort of move, whether to address the wide receiver room, the running back room, the defensive end or defensive line? Will Andrew Berry end up today at 4:01 with some sort of news to announce to the fan base?
Well, I know he's trying, and he always tries at this time of year to either stockpile some draft picks or to bolster the roster. It doesn't always work. It doesn't always go the way that you hope it will. But I know he's out there trying, and he has been trying for weeks, really. I mean, you lay the groundwork for these trades by making phone calls in the weeks leading up to the trade deadline. You kind of start to get an idea of who's going to have a little bit of a fire sale. You get an idea of who's willing to deal. And he knows all that. He's really good at this time of year. He's very, very aggressive. He has done his due diligence. He's ready for this day. And I think that in a perfect world, they will have something to announce before 4 o'clock. Again, it doesn't always come through the way that you want it to, but it's certainly not for lack of trying.
Mary Kay, I think Pam Oliver reported it on the game day about Deshaun Watson potentially going on IR. Is that really, do you think what's the likely scenario that is where this shoulder has come to?
I haven't heard that that's a likely scenario at all. I've heard, nobody wants that to happen. Nobody wants him to have to miss 4 games. If he can demonstrate this week in exams and in strength that it's getting better, then they're not going to have to do that. But I don't think anybody can definitively say what will or won't happen with this situation. Nothing has gone according to script. The shoulder hasn't healed to this point as fast as they wanted it to. And, they're going to back at it this week and figure out, what's going on in there and how far along his strength may have come. So, it's probably pretty accurate that it hasn't been completely ruled out, but at this moment, it does not seem likely. Again, that could change. He has to undergo, constant testing. I mean, there was residual swelling in there as of last week. You're not going to put him out there, with swelling on the shoulder. So, I just think it's all still a work in progress.
Well, Mary Kay, do you know why they didn't initially put him on the 4 game once the shoulder first, after the Tennessee game?
Yeah, they never thought that it was going to take this long. They thought that it was sort of a minor injury and that he was going to be fine, to the point where he was telling everybody he was going to play against the Ravens on October 1st. Nobody expected this. It just didn't go the way anybody thought that it would. But, that's how injuries can be sometimes, especially a throwing shoulder injury. You just can't predict it all the time. And so I don't think, I don't think anybody was really trying to, to fool anybody. I don't think anybody was playing games. I just think this just didn't go the way anybody thought it would.
Mary Kay, do you think when it comes to acquiring a quarterback, is it Jacoby Brissett?
It's deadline day.
Popular.
It's deadline day. We understand.
Jacoby Brissett.
Sorry.
It's okay. Jacoby Brissett, Josh Dobbs, or bust, or is there a chance they could surprise us and go after Jameis Winston or go after Andy Dalton or somebody we're not thinking about right now?
You know what? Sure. I mean, I'm sure they probably have a list. They probably have a short list. What we do know is that Kevin Stefanski is over the turnovers. I mean, he pulled no punches about that after the game and yesterday. He can't watch that happen anymore. You can't keep putting your defense behind the 8 ball. These guys, the 2 young guys, have combined for 8 interceptions over these 4 appearances and 1 lost fumble, and it's just it's too much. They lead the league with 17 giveaways. You're not going to win games like that. They got away with a couple of games. They were lucky enough to overcome turnovers in a couple of games, but that is not sustainable, and they found that out against the Seahawks. You just can't keep giving the ball away to the other team and think that you're going to win the football game. 80% of the time you lose when you lose the turnover battle. So they've been living on the edge. They've been living dangerously in that regard to this point. And they need to find somebody that can go in there and manage the game for them. And Jacoby can do that for sure. Manage the game for them very well and not throw the picks. If they can just get that and continue to get 58-yard Dustin Hopkins field goals and, everything that they're getting from their defense, then they can stay in the thick of it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Jacoby Brissett can't put you on his back and win games for you, but he won't screw it up. If you're winning, he's not throwing a pick in that spot to give the other team a chance. He threw some late picks last year on comebacks. That's not his thing, but he's way better than what they have. Is there any chance if they don't make a trade that they would go back to DTR this week, Mary Kay?
Yeah, there is a chance. I don't think it's ideal because if you have to then start him against the Ravens, that's going to be, again, a tough defense to go on the road and have to play against the Ravens again. That would be very, very difficult. Nobody really wants to see that happen. But, I think that for them at this point, it's probably 6 of one, half a dozen of the other to go from PJ back to Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I'm sure that they think that if they support DTR with enough of a run game, he's got a really strong arm. He's more accurate than PJ. There are things he doesn't know and hasn't seen. But again, I think that they think that maybe there would be a trade-off if they can have him cut down on the picks and give him a game plan and have him practice that game plan since Wednesday and really give him the outlet passes. I think that they feel he would probably make better decisions. They probably think that on 3rd and 3, he would have thrown it over the middle to Jerome Ford, or maybe he would have seen Elijah, or maybe David, or whatever. I think that they think just from a processing and decision-making standpoint that they would be better off with Dorian.
Mary Kay, a couple weeks ago you were on the show and you said this Browns defense is the most talented defense you've ever covered since you started covering the Browns. Not just a couple of years ago, but when you look at the team and how they performed the last 2 weeks, 38 points to Indianapolis, they let Seattle drive 57 yards in the final minute last week. Can you kind of pinpoint or put your finger on why this team hasn't been as consistent on that side of the ball as they were in the first 5 weeks of the season?
Well, you know what? First of all, you're going to give up some plays, especially when you play man to man. I mean, you're going to have really good receivers on the other team, and they're going to win their fair share of the battles. That's just how it works. But you can survive some of that if you're not giving up a ton of points and you're not giving up the ton of third down conversions and those kinds of things. But what you can't really survive as a defense is your offense putting you on a short field time after time after time. There were 17 points that were cost, basically either scored or cost by those turnovers by PJ Walker. The Seahawks scored 2 touchdowns off of his turnovers, and the Browns also didn't get a chance to kick a field goal or score a touchdown when they were in the red zone, and he threw a red zone pick. So it's just costly. It's costly. That's what's going on with the defense right now. They're cracking under the strain of not having a consistent offense that's not turning the ball over. But yeah, they've given up some big plays. Good coaches are going to find your weaknesses. They're going to find spots where they think they can take their shots. PJ Walker takes shots and makes big plays against some good defensive backs sometimes. That's just how this works. The point is to keep the point totals down and to go out and find a way to win the game, even if you're not perfect.
Mary Kay, I've seen that G. New left the game last week with an injury. Do you have any update on that, and will he be available this week?
Not sure about that. He had to leave the game. Probably had an MRI yesterday. We'll know more about that tomorrow. Kevin didn't want to have anything to say about injuries yesterday at all, except for that he's hopeful about Z, who did have some X-rays. Other than that, we don't know yet. But we do know, Greg has missed 1 game this season, but we do know that Greg is one of those players that, he's going to do everything he can to get back out on the field. He doesn't want to miss games. He's going to play in a little bit of pain if he has to. But if you're a cornerback and you have to run, obviously you do, and you have a serious groin injury, it's going to be really hard. So we'll know more about that on Wednesday. Hopefully for everyone, he will be back.
Mary Kay, what did you think of Kareem Hunt's comments after the game about, not getting the ball in the fourth quarter, not getting the ball, that we all know about whether he should have passed or run, but what did you think about his comments? Do you have a problem with it or no?
No, I don't have a problem with it. Players are allowed to talk. We're given the opportunity, the privilege of talking to them right after the game in the heat of the moment. And, that's the beauty of sports writing and sports journalism, is to be able to capture people when they are still upset and frustrated and they just have come out of the shower or come out of the game and they're mad and they're upset that they lost. And that's what you want. You want passion. You want somebody who wants the ball in their hands with the game on the line. Look what he did the week before. He went out and he plowed through and scored that 1-yard game-winning touchdown run. He wanted that chance. I have no problem with that. Kevin Stefanski had no problem with that. You want a player with that kind of passion.
You're right. I was critical of him yesterday for the comments, and I think you're right. And Jason kind of alluded, we always want these guys to be honest. Nothing he said was terrible. It's the heat of the moment. You're right. I'm changing my opinion, and I should not have been. I didn't kill him, but I shouldn't have been critical of Kareem Hunt. And so you've won me over on that, Mary Kay. In terms of the running backs as a whole, they used 3 guys. I loved what I've seen from Pierre Strong. What do you make of where their backfield is right now?
They have a good offensive line. Their run blocking is getting better. And I think that by committee, they can get the job done. They've got different styles. Jerome Ford should be a little bit better as they go along here with the high ankle sprain. So that will help a lot. Kareem Hunt, once again, he brings you that power and that, that bruising back. And then now you've got Pierre Strong, who also, he's got speed and shiftiness and he can catch the ball. So I think they can get the job done by committee. They might go out and get a running back today. I'm not sure. I don't know if they would be clamoring for that or not. I don't think you really need to go out and spend a draft pick for a running back when you can find some either out on the street or on your own roster. They have some practice squad guys too. So I think they have what they need to get the job done, especially because Jerome's ankle is not super serious.
We spent all offseason clamoring over some of the Browns' moves, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They brought in Juan Thornhill, Zadarius Smith, Ogbo, but maybe the most underrated signing of them all has been Mo Hurst, who made one of the best big man interceptions I've ever seen on Sunday. When you go through the numbers, Mary Kay, Mo Hurst has graded out exceptionally well on PFF. His numbers jump off the screen. He forces and creates turnovers. Has he been the most underrated signing the Browns have made this offseason for a guy who we didn't have that high of expectations for, who's come through way more than any of us could have even imagined? Did the Browns know he was that good?
Well, they liked him. Obviously, they really liked him well enough, to bring him in and to sign him. They saw some really great things in him, and he is definitely an underrated player and one of the unheralded guys on this defense this season. I think Obo kind of fits in that same category. But yeah, he's been really, really good. And that was a very, very fun interception. I got a chance to talk to him about it after the game for a minute. I never even got to use the quotes because everything was so crazy. It was late. I had to go get on a red-eye flight, which I'm still recovering from. But he had some cool things to say about that, and he really is a very interesting guy.
Mary Kay, when the trick-or-treaters come to your house tonight, what will be the candy of choice that you will give out most often?
Don't say Almond Joy.
I'm a big Kit Kat guy. I love Kit Kats. But I always make sure that it's a lot of chocolate. It's just all the favorites. We'll have an assortment of things, but there will definitely be a lot of chocolate in there.
Are you an Almond Joy type of person?
Nobody's an Almond Joy.
Nobody likes almond joy.
No, I'm not.
Joy.
I said it on Twitter a couple weeks ago, and everybody looked at me like I was crazy.
Remember when people used to give apples out sometimes? Those people were the worst.
They did do that.
I once got a pencil when I was a kid. Somebody gave me a pencil. I should have stabbed that person in the eye with that pencil. Idiot.
Yeah,
I didn't do it.
Reese's, Kit Kat, Snickers. That's probably my top 3.
Three Musketeers.
That's a great Halloween.
That means
handout
people gonna
basket,
come to
Mary
your
Kay.
house
Yeah.
twice.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Mary Kay.
Thank you, Mary Kay.
We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Talk to you later. Mary Kay Cabot, as always, does a great job for Cleveland.com. She's the best.
If they give out them